how are the things that are the headlines that are going out onto the world, the help videos that you watch on YouTube, the podcasts that you listen to, how are they being made? What does the sausage look like when you are actually making the sausage and showing that process in multiple different ways? Welcome to the Superhero Academy podcast. I'm your host, Archangelo. Ladies and gentlemen, wow, I am back from down south, back from the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sunshine in Mexico, coming back to Montreal. Not gonna lie, I miss the sunshine. I miss it. I kind of have a tan, maybe, like maybe I have a little bit of a tan still. I've been back for like 15 days now, 16, no, yeah, like 17 days. It's been 17 days that I've been back in this, well, I'm not going to call it a hellscape. It's not a hellscape. Montreal's amazing, but it's tough. It's a little tough at the end of March. The weather is all over the place, and what am I talking about weather? Weather sucks here compared to Mexico. You already knew this, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what it's like to be in Mexico on the beach, filled with influencers and amazing people, where normal life was going on. Normal life was happening in Mexico in a way that, man, I missed. You know, in 2020, as you know, wherever you are in the world, it was a little strange. And maybe you're in part of the world where it's a little more free. Maybe you live in Texas or Florida or something like that. Maybe there wasn't some severe lockdowns in your part of the world. But what I can say is, in Mexico, I had a freaking blast. I was hanging out with amazing influencers and creators all over the place. I met amazing people. I was there to kind of, test the waters of romance and all the things that go with that. I was there to just spend some time for me. And really the first few weeks I was there, I was working a little bit, but I had gotten my work down to 2 days a week. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't understand. I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years as of tomorrow. 14 years I've been an entrepreneur. And today is a little bit different because today I don't want to just serenade you about stories of Mexico. I actually want to talk, the topic of this podcast is how this podcast in and of itself is going to continuously evolve. Now, I've been talking about this to some degree when I started the latest season, and all the episodes that I had while I was down there, well, they were all recorded here in Montreal, but I'm back here now, and I'm planning on doing a lot more solo casts. But before I get to that, there's also a little bit of a switch up. We've got a personnel switch in the background over here. I've got Kyler, who is here joining. He is now the new Jamie, the new Jordan in this case, or Jamie is a reference to Joe Rogan's podcast, if you didn't already know. But I've got Kyler here. He's going to be manning the helm of this podcast. And in the format of solo casts, what's so fun is I have a co-host. And my brother was a co-host too, but now I have a co-host that is a passionate videographer, who understands content creation. He's an entrepreneur. He's somebody who deeply understands the game of bringing stories to you. Now, he's here to learn. He's here to support. He's here to play roles. He's here to make sure that the clips and whatever you're watching right now ends up on the right platform. And of course, he's going to be helping in the production of the show. And I'm fucking so stoked to have you on board, brother. Tell us who you are. Tell us, a little bit of your background. Tell us your story. And welcome to the Superhero Academy podcast, I guess.
Wow, what a fucking intro. My God, I don't think I can beat that. I can't beat that, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to come work with you. And I've been on the show before. I asked to reach out to you so we can chat about coming on my podcast, right? Yep. And we just had such an amazing connection, and we just kept in touch. Been watching all your stories on Instagram about beautiful Mexico and super jealous. super jealous.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, super happy to be here. But as Mark said, my name is Kyler Miles. I am a content creator. That is the core of what I am. And I just love bringing value to people. My story only began about 2.5 years ago when I moved here in Montreal for love, but also found a passion of mine, and the passion was videography, photography, and just creating. I never in my life found so much love for something that I do, and I get to spend every waking moment doing it. And so I'm so happy to be here, obviously with you in downtown Montreal, and to pursue that passion even more and learn from the best. So thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm the best. I mean, part of why I want to do this particular episode is that there's a lot of things that I teach when it comes to storytelling online and making content and producing and kind of setting up a scenario and a stage and a show just like this. But I wasn't particularly doing it to the level of execution I know is possible. And so my brother was great. You know, it's always great to work with family to some degree. Well, actually, sometimes it's really not that great to work with family most of the time in business. With my brother, it was actually quite pleasant, though. It was good. He was great, but he's not a videographer. He's not somebody who understands the ins and outs. And so he was running the show, doing the thumbnails, helping make all the clips, taking notes on the side with the time codes and all that kind of stuff, helping me upload everything, and also producing the cuts, the video cuts that happen here, and of course playing Switcher as Kyler is doing back there, right, with the Cinemaker system we use. And if you want to know more about that, we have a 4-part thing that teaches you how to make a video podcast, how to make a successful video podcast and actually do that powerfully. So we've got that funnel. It's all free. I call it a funnel because there's parts to that funnel. And it's not meant to sell you anything. It's just meant to show you what this looks like. But the truth is, for me, that it wasn't doing it at the level that I thought was possible. The set was nice. The audio is clean. We've got a computer screen and everything that we can share with you. We've got multiple cameras. We've got it pretty dialed, but I want to be able to upgrade this podcast. And so the first thing that I want to upgrade when it comes to the podcast is the speed at which it goes from this moment right now that I'm like presently recording it to the moment that it is actually available online in the various formats, audio only, video, and clips, at a faster pace. Now, my brother was good at that, and we could have done it, but we were pre-recording a ton, and I really want this show to be as live as possible, and eventually actually literally just be live. Sometimes I'm going to do that on my own. Sometimes I'm going to do it with Kyler here behind doing the switching, but here, every once in a while, I'll just have the iPad right here, and I'll just switch from screen to screen to screen, and I'll just go live on multiple platforms, because that's always been the goal. But I know that if I'm going to operate in making really good content, and if I'm going to grow the show, I need to be able to decrease is what I'm looking for, the time from recording to publishing, because that allows me to jump on what I would call headline content, meaning what's happening on the screens, right? On your cell phone or on your TV or on YouTube. There's things that happen in our culture that if we can get to a faster pace of record and release, then I can jump on the existing trends that are happening in the marketplace at the speed at which the pros are doing it. Now, I say the pros, Flagrant 2, Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss doesn't really do that same way. Joe Rogan, for example. There's so many shows out there that are built on the news in some capacity. They're talking about YouTube drama. They're talking about what's going on in our culture, what the president said, or what is happening in everyday life that's relevant to you right here and right now. But headline content, just like a wave in the ocean, and you're the surfer, right? The content creator being the surfer. If the wave is coming and you kind of release that content after the wave has hit the shore, it is no longer that relevant any longer. And so it's good, and you could still gain some traction on the algorithms, you could still gain some growth, but there's without a doubt a benefit to having speed of production. And so this entire studio, this entire show is designed, ladies and gentlemen, to bring you relevant information that's valuable to you and bring in the filter of what this show is about. And I've been thinking a lot about what this show is about, and been thinking a lot about what I really care about, what I'm really doing for a living. And without a doubt, the show is about storytelling. And what The fuck does that mean, Marcangelo? I know that's what you're thinking. Well, storytelling to me is the process by which you create content as a creator. So I consider myself a creator. I'm also an entrepreneur. How are the things that are the headlines that are going out onto the world, the help videos that you watch on YouTube, the podcasts that you listen to, how are they being made? What does the sausage look like when you are actually making the sausage and showing that process in multiple different ways? So storytelling is the chief component of what the show is about. Now, for sure, I also want to bring on amazing guests, amazing people. There's reasons for that. One, I'm selfish. I'm selfish because I love speaking to amazing people, and I love speaking to creators. I love speaking to entrepreneurs. I love speaking to people who are doing badass shit in the planet. So that's the second purpose of the show, right? The show is to dissect what it's like to be them. What is interesting about what they're doing in the world? What is interesting about their job? Asking them questions that they're not used to asking or answering, right? Getting them off script, essentially. And so the show is live in the sense that there's no cuts in this. It's just me blabbing. And hopefully you consider it to be a little bit more than me blabbing. Hopefully I have some interesting things to bring to your life. But it's just me talking about the things that I feel are relevant to me and relevant in our culture around us. And so those are those pillars. But I do want to bring in some more structure. Boo, structure, right? But here's the truth. There's a little bit of magic in structure, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing. The more structure you have when pressing record and creating content for the internet, the more you preconceive the headlines, the thumbnails, the topics that you're going to talk about, the more valuable the content can be to the audience. And so I plan on using this stage and doing more solo casts. And I say solo casts, Kyler will be here. He'll still be participating, right? Like he'll still be grilling me every once in a while.
Oh, you bet.
And I gave him creative freedom to just grill me like my brother would. My brother knows me better for sure, so he can hit me. He can attack me and do.
Give me 6 months.
Oh, forget 6 months. You'll be making fun of me in like 4 weeks. But the truth is that as I can do these solo casts, or even with the guest here, if I can break off into segments where I cover financial news, where I cover a microdose of a topic, where something I was researching this week that I went super deep on. Like this week, I researched a little bit about something called MobileCoin. It's a cryptocurrency. It's going to be used apparently in conjunction with Signal, the chat app, the privacy, the really well championed privacy chat app that's kind of, I guess, a competitor to WhatsApp or, in line with Telegram. They're apparently going to be rolling out a system for exchanging money through their chat app. And so I did a little bit of research, realized that coin was undervalued, shared it out to my text-based community where I share stock tips and advice and all the time and all those different things. And by the way, the link to that will be down in the description down below. If you want to join that community, you can text me. Maybe the number pops up here, maybe it doesn't. But either way, the link is down below. And the fact that I did that literally a week ago, I made that investment. I told my community, and now today it is 6x'd in value. So I want to be able to bring that small little piece of information, that segment, to a screen near you. And I want to do that in a way that's powerful, in a way that is timely, in a way that kind of allows you in on my process and the stories and the things that are around me, right? So I get to figure out what that looks like going forward. I don't really know. I definitely know there's some segments that I want to do, and I'm not going to share them all here today. But for sure, there was going to be a financial segment. For sure, there was going to be microdoses. So deep dives, but short deep dives into very interesting topics. And the other thing I want to do is revolutionize the way that I go after and create headlines, and also the format of the content that I'm putting out. Because the way that we've been putting it out online is pretty decent. I mean, we're really focused on growing YouTube. That's my number one chief goal. I think YouTube is the best platform because it has intent and people use it to discover the news and dive deeper into topics. And a podcast is by definition a deeper way of going about things, right? Like you watch a podcast, Kyler, you use a podcast as a way of learning about real topics, not just about self-discovery on you're not just scrolling on Instagram the way you normally would, right? So, I mean, why do you watch podcasts really?
100%. Like I'm so into self-development. I'm so into bettering myself. As I get older, I'm realizing how much I don't know in life. And I get attached to these people and start to get into their lives. And it's a way for them to share and get deep into one particular topic. And some of it is entertaining. Sometimes I do just like stumble across something entertaining, but the intent, like you just said, is always about, I want to learn something. If it's about videography, business, marketing, it's always a concept that dives me even deeper into it. And then finding new discoveries and new loves and new passions. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But to your point, YouTube is like, it recommends certain things to you. It's just like podcasts on another level.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. I mean, one thing that I hear in that, and this is the key word, is learning. You know, what Superhero Academy is about as a podcast, but also as an online school, what it's about is about learning. And so I don't want to make the pretty reel that's making some, jumping on some trend that happened on TikTok. That's really not the kind of content I want to bring to you. There's enough of that online, and it's great, and it's viral, and it has a lot of legs, and we are going to break that down. That's what we're going to do. We're going to break that down. Break it down into segments that you can understand and hit a different format. Now, for example, on Instagram Reels perform better in the algorithms than IGTVs do. And IGTVs, the way I've been doing it and uploading them, I've been doing them 16:9. And then you can click the little button and go, see the whole screen and do that thing. I like that. That's fine, but we need to be able to take little pieces of those clips and make them a little bit more square, or 4:5, or 9:16. And when I say 9:16, what I'm saying here is vertical. This podcast is going to go more vertical in format. And so that adjustment is something I want to expose myself on, because I've been doing this pretty good, and I feel like I've gotten the podcast up to like maybe 70% of where it can get to. But now if I can add a little bit more structure, I think we can do a lot better. And actually, I'm going to go a little bit off script here, and I say off script because there's no specific script, but I want to bring up somebody who I think does a phenomenal job of sharing, and it's amazing. It was right out here on my YouTube, right there. Boom, Jim Cramer.
Now, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade.
Okay, let's go and find, so this is a clip, but I want to find a clip of Jim Cramer at the beginning of his show. So let's see what that looks like. Let's see if this is a beginning.
Mad Money Lightning Round is brought to you by...
No, that's not a beginning. Let's go back.
So, Mick, the last time we talked to each other...
That's not. Is there one where I can get the beginning of him talking?
Finally, on Wednesday morning to your...
Nope. Not making it easy on me. Let's see.
Let's take them one by one, starting with the daily.
Okay. What about this one? Nope. See, what I will say about what you just watched here is that was an intro to a very clear segment. See, Jim Cramer is a financial. He's kind of a fixture on Wall Street, or a fixture in Wall Street news, if you want to say, right? CNBC has been on there for a long, long time. His show Mad Money has been on there for a long, long time. But he has segments to his show. He has buttons that he presses every once in a while that are like cha-ching or boo or whatever it is. And I have these buttons too, right? I can do a little something, right? So what if I took more time to understand where the show was going, right? Somebody like Jim Cramer and the show that he runs on Mad Money has these things built in. They know where they're going. And so in the one-on-one interviews that I do with people, I kind of know where I'm going, but I don't know what these people are saying, but I want to introduce more structure in this way. And I really want to find a clip of Mad Money here. So let's see if I go to videos. Oh, man, they make so many damn clips.
Can you search within the channel?
How can this market?
So let's see.
But so, Chris,
He normally has it. One of the clips will be him just starting up. Let's just go. Here, I'll just do Jim Cramer Mad Money intro. Let's see what that looks like.
My mission is simple.
This
to
right here,
make
ladies and
you
gentlemen.
money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now.
hey, I'm Kramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Kramerica. Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you some money. My job is not just to entertain, but to teach and educate you. So call me at 1-800-743-CBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. Tonight, I want to share some of my accumulated.
Boom. See what he did there? Let's just watch that again. I could say his intro word for word. I know his intro. Now, I'm not talking about this animation here. I'm not talking about that. I know that too. My mission is simple.
To make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now.
Hey, I'm Kramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Kramerica. Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you some money. My job is not just to entertain, but to teach and educate you. So call me at 1-800-743-CBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. Tonight, I want to share some of my accumulated wisdom.
He shares with you what the show is about. No matter how many years he's been on TV, he's telling you the culture of what he's creating every single time you watch that show. Now, the reason for that is because as you're building more and more content, as you're making and surfing the headlines, not everyone knows who you are and what you're about. See, this podcast right now, this episode here is a little meta, but it's telling me that, you know, when I was in Tulum, when I was in Mexico enjoying the beaches, what I realized is I didn't have that intro. I would always just start with something funny and interesting, and I always, you know, I think about the first 3 to 10 seconds of a podcast, and I want to make it funny, and I want to make it interesting, and I do that naturally. I have, you know, something, but it's not informing you of the format of what to expect. See, expectations are set by you, the creator. But if you're not giving me the container, if you're not telling me exactly what I might see on the show, I might not stick around. So in his intro, and if I played it longer, he's going to start diving into a topic immediately, but he might cover also elements of what he's going to cover in the rest of the show so that you stick around. So if I knew what that was when I hit record, if I knew where the conversation was going when I'm doing a solo cast, which I do to some degree, but I let you know coming in, and I designed my intro to have that, hey, I'm Kramer. You know what I mean? That whole piece where he's like, my goal is not only to educate you, but to make, man, I'm losing the words, but it's some people are trying to make friends. I'm just here to make you a little bit of money. You know what I mean? Like that line. So it gives you a reason to watch, not to like him, but to understand what he's there to serve you in, what he's there to accomplish for you. And then he talks about for you to learn and educate you and all the different things and those components there. And so it's designed for the beginner investor or the intermediate investor that gets to hear a little bit about what he's doing. And even pro investors might every once in a while watch what he has to say or what he has to do. But that intro, that component of what he's putting out is crucial to the growth of the show. Because people who do not know me do not know what the show is about and don't know what I'm about and don't know my background. So if I can instill and plant that seed over and over and over again in the podcast, that's going to help. Now, I've done that. I've built a little intro sequence, right? So I've got a little bit of that semblance where I take one of the best pieces of a podcast and I put it at the beginning. So let's just watch how I do it. See, this podcast has no rules. It's about passion. Decent. Welcome to the Superhero Academy podcast. I'm your host, Archangelo. Hello, superheroes. Wow. Decent, right? Decent. Like, it's cool, it's interesting, it's well done videography-wise, but is it well done from the perspective that the audience truly understands what this show is about? And the answer is no. Now, I still think that I should take the most interesting clip of an episode, put it at the front, run an intro piece like that, right? That whole like soundtrack, that whole piece. But when I first come on camera, it shouldn't just be me being like, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It has some components. See how I did that? See how I already know elements of my brand. I've designed components of what I'm doing. And sometimes I say ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I say superheroes. Superheroes is the better way of going about it. So having my script is the first thing I'm going to be working on in the next episode of this podcast. You're going to see me test different little versions of that script over the next couple of episodes. And I'm going to try and keep it succinct, right? I'm going to try and say it within like 20 seconds. So I got your attention with a little opening. I've got a little branding piece with the brand component, and I've got that 20-second opener that lets you know what this podcast is about and why, more importantly, it matters to you. That's the key, right? The key to a good show is that the show is entertaining or educational or whatever it's looking to achieve for the viewer. You see, I've been running this podcast too selfishly. I've focused on building relationships with the person who was sitting across from me when I was doing interviews. That was the real reason I started the podcast back in 2013, was to meet interesting people. But that doesn't make it a better show if this is now going to escape just a normal podcast and actually turn into a full-fledged production and show. For now, that's going to be once a week. In the future, and I've already spoken to Kyler about this, hopefully he can keep up, and my hope is that he can. I think he's got that skill set. He's got it. You got that skill set.
100%.
Yeah. We're going to try and go to two times a week. I'm going to try and start going live now because this system and this place is dialed. I know what I'm doing. And I've built up my character and my understanding of that. I've built up the thumbnails and certain components, but again, we can do it a little bit better. So, I've got this page here, superacademy.net/podcast. Now, it's hosted on my website, and that's a key component. Now, can anybody guess why that's a key component? Why would you say, Kyler, that it's good that your podcast episodes are on your own website?
Well, Mark, it shows up on Google. It shows up on anything you search. So now when I want to look up storytelling and how to start a video podcast, it will rank higher because the transcribe of the podcast will be there. The video will be there. All elements. So you are searchable, meaning people everywhere in the world can find you.
And therefore, when they have intent, keyword intent, right, ladies and gentlemen, intent. When they have intent, they can find what they're looking for. And the more body of work that I put out over time, because this is a long-term game, as if you know me, I'm a long-term thinker. Guess what? That's a little hint of something that's going to be in my intro. I'm a long-term thinker. I'm here to tell you storytelling. I'm going to break it down, but to break it down from the perspective of investing in your brand long-term. Now, what Kyler just said is right. Has SEO implications. But there's more to that. Would you have another guess as to why I am putting it on my podcast or on my website?
Probably because you want people to see the other content that you're producing.
Mm-hmm.
They get to dial into all aspects of your business.
Mm-hmm.
You give a lot of free content, so they connect with you on a deeper level.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say there's two other reasons. One is they're exposed to my brand in an environment that I fully control, which is the website. And within that brand, they're exposed to my products or my online services of sorts, right? The online courses that I create. Now, I'm not really trying to push those online courses. I'm really not trying to sell a bunch of people on more stuff. But at this stage, at least, I really just want to grow the show. I just really want to grow my ability to produce the best possible show for you. And I want to make it as free as possible. But even if the education platform of Superhero Academy is all free and all the content I'm making is free, including the how to start a successful video podcast content funnel, which I already mentioned, and the link is going to be down below. If that's the case, I also want to know who you are. And what I mean by that, well, there's two things I mean by that. One, I want to be able to potentially capture your email or data or phone number or something, somewhere, somehow. But two, just by you visiting the website, I've got the good old analytics and pixel systems that put a little tag on you, little tracker that lets me know not exactly who you are because it doesn't give me your name. Your privacy is secure in that way. But it allows me to retarget you with ads that let you know when the next podcast episode is out. Or it allows me to retarget you with ads about my new funnel. Or it allows me to retarget people who look like you, called the lookalike audience, that might also have very similar interests, similar dispositions to you as a person. So maybe they like skiing or snowboarding like you do. Or maybe they're based in Montreal like I am or you are potentially. Right? So by putting that little tracker, then I can build an audience of who's paying attention. And maybe that audience is men in the age range of 25 to 45 that like this thing and that thing and whatever it is. By sending you to the website, I get to capture that information. So I need to provide value on the website. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some latest episodes and clips, different pieces. So I'm going to clip on this latest episode that I had done with Steve. And here you've got the full-length podcast. You've got the full video format. You've got the full-length podcast in audio format. And then you've got show notes and a bunch of different things. Now, this is okay, but I'm upgrading this now. I'm making sure that this is going to lead to a free class over here. Instead of being the Passion to Profit where it links directly to a paid class, it's going to link to free content. In this case, it's going to switch over to the new funnel about how to create a successful video podcast. Now, why would I do that? Well, you're listening to my podcast, and the people who listen to podcasts tend to want to create podcasts. So it's much more relevant possibly to you to see a little, call to action on the side here that says, hey, do you want to start your own successful video podcast? Click here for the free course. So these different components enable value, but they also enable me to link to one specific place, whether you're an audio listener, as about half of you are, or actually most of you are, or whether you're watching on YouTube. And I wouldn't say most, because technically a lot of people are actually watching on Instagram and stuff as well, on the clips, and on YouTube. So I've got kind of a split audience, and that's the challenge of new creators, right? When you're starting your brand, you've got all these different platforms that you can go on, but it's hard to break through. Even with me, when I have thousands of followers on Instagram, it's not that easy to break through, particularly if I'm not following the game or the format that is doing the best on the platform. So today, the format that's doing best on the platform is Instagram Reels and carousel images. That's what's doing the best. And so I need to get into that game. And I need to keep up with that. And I need to be nimble. But now with Kyler behind the wheel, we're going to do that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be better. We're just going to be better at it. He's better. Sorry, Jordan.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah. So we're doing a good job here, but I think that there's a little bit more that can be done. And I definitely know that when it comes to, let's say, Instagram, see, this piece here and this piece and all these different pieces, the thumbnail isn't that great. And I made the job easy for my brother in the sense that I made him take the bottom banner and the things that he was making because he was putting out this video with text on the bottom for captions using Clippable. Right? So we put in a YouTube video and then we use Clippable to essentially create this direct clip, right? And with the dimensions that we want and all the different components, all of which I explain in my other funnel, which is called the 4H pillars of content creation, something like that. I haven't come up with the final name yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And so we have the clips, we have the main episode, which has its own format, and these clips and these thumbnails are pretty decent, but I'll get to that in a second. What we need to do here is make a thumbnail that takes up the entire screen and doesn't look like all the other ones. These ones look too similar. And when you're looking at it on your phone, what happens is this little icon on the bottom or on the top right corner, what makes an IGTV, it covers elements of this thumbnail a little bit. It covers the text a little bit, which isn't perfect. So I've done a good job of keeping a little grid, like a little Instagram influencer that I am. And I break the pattern every once in a while because I was on stage with Jason Silva, who's a rad dude, amazing, content creator himself, and an amazing storyteller himself. And this is okay, right? These clips are okay. They've done okay, but we need to be able to attract a better audience, and I need to make these clips a little bit better. And I need the titles to be a little bit better thought out and the image to be a little bit better thought out. And the thing is, when you click on this, look at the way that format shows up. See, this real estate up here and this real estate down there, I'm not getting enough of it. Now, yes, I can click this button or whatever button, to make it full screen or whatever. And that is good, but most people aren't watching Instagram on this format in this way, right? So we need to improve this. We need to add a little bit of a top banner and make the thumbnail better and make this a little bit more vertical. And rather than putting the entire clip, maybe we should do is just take the best 30 seconds and make that an Instagram reel and then say that the entire clip is on YouTube. Or that the entire clip is also now in this clip here. So you'll have the full length, the full audio, and then the clips in this too. So now we're adding more and more value on the website, therefore getting you one step closer to, yes, my brand, yes, my offerings. And I'm not trying to hide that from you. I'm providing value for you. If you like the Instagram reel and you clicked to go see the clip and you like the clip, well, then you might like my free course on how to build a successful video podcast. So this is a logical step-by-step process that is how people build brand online and how they monetize their podcast without necessarily having sponsors. Now, I do plan on bringing on sponsors to some degree, sponsors that are local businesses, companies I fully believe in, those types of things. That's going to happen. Right? I do plan on bringing that component to it, but I'd rather not bring that component in a way that is distasteful. And so what I'd like to do is one of the sponsor segments that I want to do, for example, is I want to do microdoses. I already mentioned this. So who would I get to sponsor a microdose segment? Well, what about a microdose company? Getting a little dose of magic mushrooms or something in your day-to-day life? Yeah, well, there's companies that do that here in Canada. Now, I'd love to bring them in. I'd love to make them content, not only for myself, but for them. And so that allows me to monetize this show. It allows me to take this show to another level and it allows me the financial resources to reinvest in making a better format, a better piece of content for you. So going through this process, when I look at what I'm doing, I'm maybe at 70%. It's okay. I was very good at getting consistent. I was very good at getting the podcast out every Wednesday. I was very good at getting the clips, but they're okay. And then the one last thing I'll say is that here, I wasn't following one of my rules, which is that the thumbnail and the title should be pre-thought out, which I was doing to some degree, right? Normally what I do, the process that we normally do is we end this podcast. Kyler is taking notes in the background, so he's writing down time codes. And then based on what I said, we might make little clips. And we're going to discuss those clips right after we're done recording, so it's fresh in our mind as to what the best part of the podcast was. And he, in general, part of his job is to understand, hey, Mark, you know what? When you were speaking about that one thing, it was really interesting. Because he's not me. And that's helpful. There's an art to having other people's opinion because he's the type of person who would listen to this podcast, right? Like you're in my view, you're the audience in some ways. You're participating in it, but it's designed for people like you.
100%.
And so if it's designed for somebody like Kyler, then what he found interesting is more relevant than what I found interesting to some degree. So I'm doing a decent job at, the process of hitting, stop record and then coming up with what the clip might be, but I'm not doing a good enough job of coming up with the title right at that moment. Sometimes I am, but I was leaving it too much to my brother or to others, and I think I should be a little bit more involved in that. And what I really want to train is Kyler to even be better at me than I am at it. And by coming up with the title, I also want him to creatively come up with the thumbnail, but to make that the words on the thumbnail aren't the same as the words on the title, because they should be complementary, ladies and gentlemen. They should be complementary. Now, I have a free video that's going to be coming out soon, and I haven't put it out. I've recorded it months ago. It's been done for months. But I'm going to go to Mr. Beast. He's a famous YouTuber. He's got 57 million subscribers, so maybe he's doing
If you push this button, you will get...
Sorry. Look at this. I spent 50 hours buried alive. Look at the thumbnail and look at the title. Look at the way that it's done. The thumbnail is designed to complement the title. It's meant to inform, but it's meant to capture your attention, and that's what a thumbnail does, ladies and gents. That's what a thumbnail does. It's meant to capture your attention. So what that looks like from the perspective of the best YouTubers on the planet is that we get to change how we're going about this process in a little bit. And so we get closer to that 100% mark. I don't think I'll ever hit 100%. And I'm an artist. I'm a storyteller. I'm never going to think that my stuff is good. I'm never going to think that I hit 100%. Because the day that I'm even approaching it, I'm going to find a better way to do it or a better way to do more. And I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try and disrupt myself, essentially. But this is done to a level of execution and perfection that is just second to none. And, if I look at like Philip DeFranco, who's another, he doesn't really run a podcast, but it's a show. And look at the way that he uses the thumbnail and the personalities of the thumbnail. People you recognize, for example, other famous YouTubers, like Ethan over here. This guy's name is Ethan. He runs H3 Podcast, right? Or David Dobrik or Nas X Daily. Isn't it funny that Nas X comes out with a shoe and he comes out with a new music video and Philip DeFranco has a take and he has a picture of Nas X everyone's talking about on YouTube that day. And all of a sudden, that within 24 hours or whatever it is, he has a freaking video that comes out with that guy. Isn't that convenient? That's by design, ladies and gentlemen. It's by design. What makes his show successful is that he's pre-planning what he's going to talk about in the show. And he's been doing it for years. He's been making videos every day. I think he takes weekends off for 5 days a week or whatever it is, doing that exact pattern. Now, he disrupts himself every once in a while, but he has thumbnails that complement the title. And he understands the difference between those two things. He understands how those two things work together. And so I've done an okay job of making that happen. I've done an okay job of creating that content and being a character, but what I haven't done is do enough to entice you topic-wise. I haven't done enough to entice you in the thumbnail and in the title that really makes that thing click. So speed to market, first thing I need to solve. Second thing I need to solve is contextualizing the content for the platform that it's going on, meaning going a little bit more vertical, making the thumbnails more Instagram ready rather than the way that I'm doing it now, which is a little bit lazy with the top title and the bottom bar, which is not really taking advantage of the screen in the full way. Taking advantage of contextual algorithm changes like Instagram Reels. And being able to really, really, really break the show down into a structure with segments that are particularly designed for virality or for intent, for help-based purposes or educational-based purposes, which is in the category of help. Those little innovations are going to make this podcast a lot better. I truly believe that if I make these little changes and I invest enough time and energy and I get really, really good at it over the next 6 months with Kyler, behind the wheel, making the magic happen, that this show will skyrocket in value, but it will also skyrocket in listenership. And it's those three things combined that should yield 10x growth pretty immediately. And what's amazing is how formulaic this can be. Now, I'm not trying to say that my content is formulaic or what I'm saying is formulaic. It's that the process is part of the art. That's what I'm saying. Right? The process and the medium is part of the art. The medium that is Instagram is part of the art. The medium that is YouTube is part of the art. The medium that is the art of the title and thumbnail is part of the art. Those are all different components of really effective storytelling. And so that's what I want to do. That's what I want to make happen, and I'm going to make happen. It's not even want to. Forget want to. Get out of here, these shitty words in my vocabulary. Kyler loves it. No, I mean, you every once in a while you catch yourself, right? Like that's part of it.
100%, man. I love that you just like catch yourself. You're like, no, fuck that. Like we're just gonna make it happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really counting on you, man. You know, I've been looking for you for a long time. It's. I've had friends that have helped out that are really talented videographers or whatever, but they weren't in it. They didn't have the same passion I did for it. They didn't see the art, and they didn't see, I guess, the value in it, and they were kind of caught in their own stuff, and that's fine. And I just didn't have the right people. And then I had my brother who came in to help out, and that created a lot of good flow because that created a lot of consistency, which is great. It was great. My brother was a very good chapter in the growth of Superhero Academy, for sure, specifically on the podcast side. But now I think we've got the ingredients to make it great. We've got the ingredients to make it great, and it's not. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. This is like I'm trying to be as real as possible of what this process looks like. It's going to be great because of the process that we're going to do is going to be great.
So, Mark, can this process be replicated by someone just starting out with their cell phone as their camera?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not going to be as good in the sense that if you don't have a triple angle with a screen and the whole thing, it's not going to be that great in that way from a visual perspective. But the content, the thumbnails, the title process, the development of character, all of those things can be equally as good on a cell phone. In fact, when I started this podcast with this like multi-camera system, it was a cell phone system. It was multiple cell phones. Now, it was still a multi-cam thing. So it's still better than just putting it on a single phone or a single camera or one angle. But that's not the point. There are many really great shows that are one angle only. I mean, Philip DeFranco has basically one angle and a screen share, and he has some editing technique or facet to it. In my case, what I'm trying to do is lower the cost and the speed that it takes to edit and make it a one-man operation in terms of me producing the show and Kyler producing the edits. And then he loads it up into the systems, and they're all ready to be published with the thumbnails and everything there. And I go in and I write up elements of the description, and I get I press the actual publish button on YouTube or on Instagram. But it's all ready for me.
The cool thing about this process that you're talking about that I'm realizing is that you're creating a structure to continuously make quality content. I don't just mean the production value.
Yeah.
Like content that people actually search, they want to learn.
Yep.
Because a common misconception is that they think the more time you add to it, like, I'm going to spend a whole month editing this video, it's going to be the best. When in reality, it could have been done in a week or even 2 days.
And it depends on what the topic is. Like if I was going to make a video on teaching you how to do a specific editing technique, and I was going to teach you how to be a travel influencer that makes videos like Sam Colder, who's an amazing character who I met in Mexico, I had met him before, but I spent some time with in Mexico, which was really fun. His videos they'll take you 3 months or a month to edit or whatever it is, right? But to make something like Philip DeFranco, the value of Philip DeFranco's content is the speed at which it comes out, as well as the topics at which it covers and how well researched he is on those topics, how he engages you within the show, how he breaks up the show, and then how he uses the art of the thumbnail and the title to entice you to click on it in the first place. So that portion, I've spent years studying this. And it's been painful for me to know all of this information because I've known this information for some time. But it's been painful, honestly, to not be able to fully execute it the way I wanted to not be able to kind of stay grounded enough to do it the way I wanted to. And the truth is, it's because I had to balance the side of being an entrepreneur. I had to balance cash flow. So I had to spend 4 or 5 days a week working on other people's stuff so I can afford all of this equipment. I can afford the background that you see behind me. I can afford all of these different components. And then maybe 1 day a week producing it. And honestly, even as I say that, it's basically an excuse. Because as Kyler was saying, I didn't need the good camera and the good thing, but I just knew I needed to do it that way for me. Because this isn't about the number of views that I get. It's about actually teaching the art and the understanding of how this art impacts us. You know, when I watched 52 weeks of documentaries, when I first graduated university, I basically declared I wasn't going to let schooling get in the way of my education. I was going to watch a documentary a week for 52 weeks straight. What I learned in those 52 weeks more than anything is that we had a narrative problem in this world, and that I knew I was going to be a character that was going to solve pieces of that. That's what this show is about. That's what Valhalla is. That's what Superhero Academy is. It's to empower you to be able to step into your entrepreneurial skill sets, your creative, mindset, your freelancer skills that empower you to be self-employed, or your influencer skills to be an influencer online. That's what this podcast and that's what this school is designed to do. But I know that I just didn't have the chops in me yet. I didn't fully have the character develop, the full integrity of myself yet to actually stick to it. And I was a self-deprecating artist like many artists were and are. And I was just deeply, I don't know. I was dealing with the fact that I didn't feel like I was enough. I didn't feel like my character was developed enough or that I knew enough. I mean, man, I've been doing, like, back to the text that I've been doing in the text community where I'm giving investment, geeking out or advice. See how I even stumbled there? Because I don't even know what to call it yet. You know why I don't know what to call it? Because I don't feel like I know enough about investing to be teaching it. That's part of how I feel. But here's the fucking truth. I know a lot more about investing than most people do. A lot more. And so if I can help somebody who's 2 steps behind me or 10 steps behind me to get to where I'm at, that's enough. I don't need to focus on it being perfect. I just need to focus on getting people to my level because they needed support to get to my level too. And I needed support to get to my level. I needed to watch the Jim Cramers of the world to kind of start learning the financial, terminology and some of these things. And I studied it too, both personally and on my own time, but also I was in school. I started in finance and accounting. I fucking hated it. In many ways, I still hate it. I hate the paperwork, really. But I love the research. Love it. So there's pieces of it that I absolutely adore, and there's other pieces of it that I don't. But the truth is that I've always felt like my content wasn't good enough. And now, what I know is that the time spent in front of the camera and the time spent making this content and the dollars that I spend on this are growing me as a person. They're growing me as a character. They're growing me as a brand. They're bringing financial opportunity, all those things. But honestly, those all are pale in comparison to me meeting really awesome people like you who are part of the audience, meeting really awesome people that come as guests on the podcast, meeting really awesome people that I get to work with, like Kyler, who's behind there, and being able to mentor and support people in all of those formats, including the guests that I have on the podcast. And at the exact same time, for them to mentor me. They're teaching me things. They're bringing ideas to me in every way. I'm selfishly creating this podcast because I believe that it enables me to be a better human and to better relate to people like you. So this show gets to get better. And it gets to get better because I get to get better. I get to get more prepared for creating the show in the first place. And that's what I'm here to do. And I'm going to make it happen. And so I appreciate you, listening to this. If you've gotten to this point, leave a comment. Go rate the podcast. If you've listened to hundreds of episodes or whatever, 10 episodes or 3 episodes or 2 episodes, whatever it is, let me know. Tell me about what you want to hear more about because I'm listening. I'm watching the comments. I'm seeing what people say on Instagram or on YouTube. I see what you guys are doing. And even if I have hundreds of thousands of followers or listeners, I'll see it too. I'm still going to pay attention because I geek out on this. Because this isn't a tactic. Yes, I'm tactful, but it's not a tactic. This is an art for me. It's no different than the canvases on the wall behind me. It's a form of my expression. It's a way of me dealing with the world around me and being able to process it. It's a way of me adding value in a world where sometimes I see a lack of value or values. It's a way of me creating something that's deep and more profound than a meme or a cat video. And so I'm trying. And sometimes I feel like I'm failing. Most of the time I feel like I'm failing. But I know I'm not. Like when I reasonably step back and speak to other people and I look around, I know. And I think it was a stat, it was like 80% of podcasts have about 80 views or less. That's crazy. That's amazing to me. When I heard that statistic, I was like, wow. It's fascinating. And it's a growing segment. And the fastest growing segment within the podcasting world is news. You know why? Because that's how you're getting in the news. Less people are paying attention to CNN, specifically since Trump is gone. Less people are paying attention to mainstream media. And more people are paying attention to main headlines that are being created and really good content being created by different people. So I love Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman at this point. Those are two podcasters that I'm really, really paying attention to. And they inform me. They talk, they bring on amazing guests, and they ask really great questions. And Lex is a little bit more scientific in his approach, and Joe is a little bit more manly in his approach. And I love them both. I think they have different characters. They bring on different types of people. Lex is a little bit more intellectual focused and more scholarly, and Joe is more casual. And I value both of them. And so I just want to enter that value stream and have a particular niche and a particular segment. And I think that segment gets to really get developed and built. And so that's what you're going to see happen. And I want your feedback. So please leave it. You know where the links are. I mentioned a couple things. Welcome, Kyler, ladies and gents. Welcome him to the show. Help him out. Give him some feedback. Give me some feedback that makes our lives easier and that makes this more valuable for you. And I guess we'll see you in the next episode.